One of the biggest draws to selling your home to a cash buyer is the promise of a quick close. Time is valuable and difficult to put a price tag on. However, it can be expensive if the wrong cash offer is accepted. The most important aspect of making sure the property closes on your time frame and not the buyer's are contingencies. Contingencies are critical to understand. A contingency is defined as a provision or unforeseen event or circumstance. In a traditional real estate transaction, contingencies can provide protection and flexibility by allowing both the buyer and the seller to avoid risk. But when it comes to working directly with a cash buyer, things change. You should think of contingencies as a way out of the contract for buyers. Cash buyers use contingencies to manage risk by providing themselves the ability to renegotiate or walk away from the purchase at any time. This is often done without you understanding how contingencies really work. The most common kinds of contingencies are home inspections, appraisals, and financing. As a general rule, the fewer days allowed in a contingency, the better it is for you, the seller. A credible cash buyer can waive all contingencies in 48 hours or less. This puts you in the best position to maintain the original offer price and closing date. Remember Julia. It was because of a long contingency period of 14 days that the buyer was able to renegotiate the purchase price just 2 or 3 days before closing. In Julia's words, she said, "We had a few higher offers, but the lack of all contingencies has to be considered more than I originally did." Credit Julia for not accepting the new purchase price and for finding a new buyer that gave her a fair offer that closed on her timeline. The last two aspects as it relates to time are appraisals and closing. Appraisals are opinions of value that are required in most real estate transactions, most specifically when a loan is involved. But when it comes to getting a cash offer from a credible cash buyer, they shouldn't be required. Anytime an appraisal is requested, it provides more uncertainty for you because there is someone else involved in the transaction. Experienced cash buyers will have the ability to establish a value of the property themselves and will have access to the money without having to do an appraisal on the property. Finally, the last aspect to consider is the closing. This is when it all comes together. Papers are signed and the money is transferred. One of the biggest advantages of working with a credible cash buyer is the ability to close fast. So make sure the buyer has the ability to do exactly that. The buyer should be able to make the closing happen in 7 days or less. If that is the case, you have put yourself in the best possible position because all contingencies have been removed, there is not an appraisal, and the buyer has the money. At the end of the day, the buyer's ability to close in a short amount of time provides confidence to you that the property will be sold.